Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Chasing the 20-incher Susquehanna River podcast is brought to you by these great companies. Railblazer, think outside the tackle box. Kayak Cushion, for them long days on the water. Achigan brand, the official brand of smallmouth bass. Blue Mountain Outfitters, Susquehanna's local kayak shop. Ken's Jigs, need a custom jig? Don't look any further. Nico Fishing Baits, next generation of soft plastics. And Undercover Baits, get hooked on Undercover Baits. Thanks for watching and welcome to the show. Here, you guys. John, you there?
20. That is a 20.
All right. Welcome to the show, everyone. Carlisle, are you there? Whoop. There he is. And Carlisle's having a little bit of technical difficulties, as you might be able to tell. We're kind of trying to work through that now, but we wanted to thank everybody for joining us for another episode of Chasing the 20 Inchers on the Susquehanna River. Podcast brought to you by a bunch of our sponsors. We'll hit that a little bit later, but again, thanks for tuning in tonight. We have our special guest, Matt, who I've talked to a bunch of times and kind of took over my spot on the Noob Show when I stepped away from that. So I'm sure most of the Paddle and Fin peeps watching are definitely familiar with Matt. So Matt, I wanted to thank you for coming on. Let's see. I'm going to try and add the other Carlisle that's here. See if he's here. Carlisle, can you hear us? Yo.
I'm about to throw this computer out the window.
Do you know there's a word for that? It's called defenestrate. It means literally to throw out a window.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Holy crap. This is ridiculous.
Well, I was just kind of introducing everybody to Matt, just kind of pending your imminent arrival, but we can definitely go through our normal activities first, and then we'll let Matt hang out. He can be a part of that.
Absolutely. What's up, Matt? Nice to meet you.
Hey, you too, man. How's it going?
Well, I was doing good until my computer started acting stupid.
That's the way it goes, man. That is the way it goes.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone.
My daughter's got me a nice Quest for 23 Achigan sweatshirt for
nice
Christmas. So
nice.
Had to rep that a little bit.
Yeah, rep the brand, brother.
Yep. Well, we're gonna get started like we usually do. We'll go hit the river levels real quick. The local river levels here on the Susquehanna. So we'll start off with the Harrisburg gauge. Again, these are brought to you by Railblazer, Think Outside the Tackle Box. So thanks to them for sponsoring this segment of the show. I'm looking at Harrisburg, and it looks like it's on the long, slow fall, 4.31 feet. We're kind of, away from the snowfall and all the mess from last week. So everything's probably going to be starting trending down until the next weather event, which I think is probably going to be next weekend here. But we'll see if that makes it that long. Next up, we have Lewisburg, which is sitting at 3.09 feet and falling. And so that's not really a super surprise there. Next over, we'll hop over to the Marietta gauge. Marietta looked like it had a half decent spike. That's probably all water from upstate making it down as the snow kind of melted. I heard they are getting stuff up there, so it could increase more than or sooner than later. But as for right now, Marietta is also falling, and then lastly we have Towanda, which is following that same trend onward down. It's sitting at 1.94 feet. So again, thanks to Railblazer for sponsoring that portion of the show. And as you guys know, we always welcome our viewers to submit some of their pictures. So we'll jump into that segment. That segment's brought to you by Cheekin, the guys who made my sweatshirt. Free the Fighter. That's
Free the
right.
Fighter.
So we'll start off this week with Bill Parker. And they look like a happy bunch of guys there celebrating a nice catch. So that's cool.
Looks like they're having fun.
Yeah. Nothing like a smallie to warm you up on a cold day.
Absolutely.
We'll jump over next to Charlie Rustler. And I like the hat. That's a cool hat.
Yeah. That fish looks like it's about to jump in his boat.
Yeah. Yep.
I watched that video.
Is that like one of Jeff's classes? That looks like one of Jeff's.
No, he's actually, I think he got second place at the Upper Potomac last year for MAKBF. That was one of his, I think he has the full video on his YouTube channel. He had like 98 inches.
Wow.
Yeah. And he got second place.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have our buddy JP Poole, who's always a frequent submitter. Looks like
JP.
Heck of a smallie there. I think I know that area too.
Yeah, JP's smashing them.
And next up, no stranger to winter smallmouth, our buddy Larry Okonski, all bundled up with a nice chunky smallie there.
That's his biggest fish of the year, he said.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's a tank.
Yes. I love that when they have that huge, like, belly hanging out there.
Yeah, I think he said that was like a 5-pounder.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Jake Karn. A pretty picture of a fish. You can tell it's cold. He's got those fish monkey gloves on there. I have a pair of those as well. Sometimes that's the only thing that saves your fingers when it's cold.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jake, for that one. Next up, we have Lisa Lake Fishing with another. That's a largemouth there, it looks like, but a hefty one. So nice catch there.
Yeah, thanks for sending that in.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Matt Dissinger with another tank of a smallmouth. They're definitely, a lot of times in the wintertime when you might not catch a lot of numbers, but the ones that you find tend to be half decent. I don't see a lot of dinks or haven't experienced a lot of dinks fishing in the winter, but next up is Mike Shawley. And
crankbait in the face.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight, hopefully. So thanks for that picture, Mike. Next up is T-Man. With not a species we feature often on here, but I saw T-Man was testing out some undercover baits, and I'm wondering if that's one of those catches.
Yep,
so
it was
nice catch, T-Man. Next up, we have Scotty Hepner with pretty fish there. Thanks, Scotty, for that submission. You guys, I love it that you guys are still sending in pics. That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Next up, we have our final picture of tonight is going to be our good buddy from Undercover Baits, Randy Rosenberry himself. And we probably should have censored that picture because
that's great.
we'll just let our viewers pull what they can from that image. But
yes,
thanks, Randy.
If you're not watching and you're just listening, you didn't miss much.
we could title this picture "Why I Can't Wear Shorts."
There we go.
Yeah. So thanks again, everyone, for submitting. Randy for putting a smile on her face. Yeah. So that's our viewer pictures. Again, guys, keep submitting them to the Facebook page or however you submit them. You can send them to Carlisle or I, and we'll make sure we feature them on the show because we love, especially me right now. I haven't fished since November, I think, and so I am living vicariously through all you guys and your fishing stories, and it's definitely keeping me going because definitely my Bass Burgers is raging at the moment. So
yeah. I got out Christmas Day. I had a couple hours to burn on Christmas Day while the family was just chilling, and went down to Lake Clark, fished from the bank, I hooked into a big one and lost them, but that was the only bite I had. And I lost 3 or 4 blade baits, and I lost a Ned rig. So
yeah,
it was just nice to get out. The water was open. I didn't see any ice. So
fishing from the shore with a blade bait is tough because, if you're fishing like it's supposed to, you're going to be snagging. And then, unfortunately, it's not super easy to get those out once they dig in there. So
no, it's not.
But
I got out.
Nice.
It was just nice to get a line in the water for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, wet a line and see what you can find.
Yeah.
At least you got a tug,
Yeah, for sure. And it was a big one. I could tell my drag started ripping right away. I don't know if it was a bass or not, but drag started ripping, and I had him on for about 2 seconds, and then he popped off.
Gotcha.
So, hey, Sean, before we get into Matt here, do you want to show the schedules for PA Bass and KA?
So we, as you guys know, as we're getting ready for tournament season next year, I've submitted all of the permits for KACPA, Kayak Anglers of Central PA. So this is our tentative schedule pending return of those permits. I can tell you, I did already get the Upper Chesapeake Bay tournament or permit back, so that is definitely a go. So we'll start out May 23rd on the Upper Chesapeake Bay. June 14th, we're going to go to the Juniata River. We're thinking about doing that as a MAKBF style or
no limit
fish. Yeah, no. I guess most fish caught over a certain size instead of just a five bass limit. So
yeah, like a no limit, maybe 14 inches or bigger.
Right.
Kind of like Power Hour, as many fish as you can catch over 14 inches.
So we wanted to try something a little different there. So then July 25th, we'll return to the Lower Susquehanna, my section or my home section. Then we're looking August 9th for a charity event on Lake Redmond again. And August 22nd, we'll go way up north for the Susquehanna North and West Branch. You can kind of pick which one you want to fish there, and then finish off the season strong with our signature event of the year. That's going to be a joint event, like a Juniata Susky showdown. You can pick whichever river you want to fish there, and that's usually a pretty popular event. We wanted to do it earlier in the year, but we ended up having to move it so we didn't interfere with practice for the BASS event that was coming. So we didn't want to mess up anybody's practice for that if they're fishing that. So we kind of did some rearranging and moved that to the end. So that is our tentative schedule for this year, again, pending getting the permits back, but that usually isn't a problem. I did hear back from the South Central region where we send most of ours to, and they said they were in receipt of our permits and would let me know as soon as they get approved. So that's KACPA's tentative 2026 schedule. And we'll jump over to PA Bass Nation's 2026 schedule. Looks like April 4th, they're looking to be on the Juniata River. April 25th, they're going back to the Upper Potomac. And May 8th will be Presque Isle Bay and Lake Erie. Man, that sounds like fun. That's a bucket list for me.
That's like a 5.5 hour drive.
Yeah. I used to have family at least up in that area, but unfortunately, I don't have family up there anymore. I'd stay with them. Excuse me.
I'd love to go up there and try that, though.
Oh yeah, big water scares me a little bit, though.
Yeah,
it would have to be the bay, I guess, but still, we'll see. May 23rd, they're doing the Upper Chesapeake. June 28th, the Shenango River / Lake. Then July 11th, they'll be on the Susquehanna with the championship on August 15th and 16th on the Uhaini River. So I think they call that the Yo, right? I've heard that.
Yeah, that's like another 4 or 5 hour drive too.
Yikes.
Yeah, I guess our joint event, is it going to be a joint event for the Chesapeake? Because I noticed today it's the same date as Kayak Anglers.
Interesting. I'll have to reach out to them. I did not notice that on the schedule because I kind of reached out to most of the local trails and asked them for their schedules before I made ours, and I don't know that I knew that was happening that day. So
Yeah,
I'll have to reach out to them and see if maybe that they'd be interested in doing that.
the only thing is, if you do fish KA, you have to do human powered only. So
Right.
you wouldn't be allowed to use your motor if you were fishing both.
If you wanted to fish both events, yeah, you'd have to go human powered. But some people would do that, I think.
I'm going to do it, I think.
Depending where you go down there, there's a lot of water that you can hit just from one launch. Like I usually do an out and back for the KA event, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people took advantage of that. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, well, do you want to hop into cold water cranking? I know Matt and I have had this conversation. I don't know how long ago that was. Oop, did we just lose Carlisle?
Oh no!
Oh no! Well, hopefully he will be back, but we can definitely get the conversation started. I guess, sure. Matt, for anybody who's not familiar with you, go ahead and introduce yourself and
Sure.
And just talk about kind of how you got into. I know you have a pretty definitive love for crankbaiting, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so. My name is Matt Gibson. Here in Central Indiana, just on the north side of Indianapolis, basically. And man, I'm very, very fortunate in that I have probably one of the better rivers that we have around here, a few blocks from my house, that being the White River. The White River goes basically right through downtown Indianapolis, goes up through all the suburbs. Beautiful body of water, has some amazing opportunities on it. But yeah, really love crankbait fishing, and particularly probably the last, I would say, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I've really fallen in love with balsa crankbaits, particularly the craftsmanship, how different they are than what everybody else throws. So here in Indiana, the joke is we all fight for the same 5 bass in a tournament. Yeah, because we only have 5 of them, so we have to switch who catches them each tournament. So what kind of got me started with balsa is I was just looking for something different than what everybody else was throwing at the time. And I'm on the line of kind of balsa country. Balsa country is really, kind of southern Indiana, down Ohio River Valley, and all through there. But man, once I started throwing balsa, I have very little plastic crankbaits that I throw anymore. So
you're almost like a collector too, right? I mean,
yeah, unfortunately, I've got quite the array of bait manufacturers, and I mean, there's once you kind of get into it, like you were saying earlier, you started off with a few of them, and then it just kind of grows from there. Once you get kind of addicted to them and understand the differences in them, you start picking them up more and more. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you paint your own, or you didn't get that far yet?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's funny you say that though, because one of my winter projects here has been getting my jig collection back up. I make all my own jigs. I do too. I got tired of and actually Ken Jiggs has hooked me up with some stuff that I've been able to use, and what great quality stuff he has.
Yeah.
But yeah, from my swim jigs to my ball head jigs to all of that other stuff, I couldn't find. Quite honestly, I got tired of paying the prices and then getting the quality that I was getting out of those prices.
Yep.
You know, you buy a brand new jig and it's a black and blue jig, and half the black or the blues over on one side, half of it's on the other side, and it's just the quality just isn't there anymore. So
Yep.
I started making my own jigs. But crankbaits, I leave that to the professionals for now.
Yeah. Nice.
Well,
Do you
like
use sorry,
ahead.
Sean.
No,
Do you
you're
use
good, man.
I got a question about his jigs that he ties. Do you use live rubber?
So I do, and something that I've been experimenting with. So Moving Water Outfitters, I've been with those guys since the beginning. They're actually a fly shop and a kayak shop. So I've been throwing in some of their materials into my jigs too,
Nice. Nice.
which, man, it is like some of their Flashaboo and stuff that they're using for their flies. Dude, it's game changer with a jig.
Nice.
Once you understand that you don't have to use a whole bunch of it, once you understand that and you use it to kind of accent the jig, man, you can make some incredible looking jigs with mixing, our typical tab style stuff, living rubber, and that on top of it. Man, it's phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't want to turn this into a jig
Hey,
podcast, but I just had to ask.
Yeah. No.
jigs work in the winter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Carlisle,
So
do
we're
you use any
talking-
of like your own, like when you kill a deer, you have that tail fur? Do you use that in your jigs?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got to talk to Jeff Little though, because I'm not sure what kind of a process he goes through to dye the hair. So I'm sure I could find it on YouTube, but I know I haven't talked to him in a while either. I like to get a hold of him and ask him how he goes and does that, because I have 2 tails in the freezer right now. So
because I was talking to my brother-in-law who flies ties, and he says he uses both deer hair and like squirrel tail and stuff. And I know MEPS, I think MEPS still lets you send them in squirrel tails, and will send you free inline spinners if you send them squirrel tails. So if you just Google that, I'm pretty sure it's MEPS that does that, but they have like a whole process where you send them like so many squirrel tails, and they'll send you free spinners. So
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I have to get 22 ready. I've seen a lot of squirrels in archery season. All right, so when we're talking about cold water cranking, which was the title of our show, like, are we talking like 30-degree weather, water temp, or what are we talking, Matt?
Yeah, so probably over the last 8-10 years, I've developed kind of a system. So not all crankbaits are created equal. We know that. That's why there's, like, when you go anywhere, any shop, they have a wide variety of them, right?
Yeah.
So like cold water it's kind of relative to where you're at. Like 40 degrees in Alabama is going to be way different than 40-degree water, like where you guys are and where I'm at, for instance. Our bass live in that, and they're pretty used to that. But like, just kind of a rule that I try to follow is the warmer the water, the more action you want in the crankbait, the more you want that crankbait to move. Like, think of like when you cast it out there and you feel that thump, 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 thump. Like, I want a lot of thump in the summertime, and in that like mid, like 50, 60-degree water. I'm okay with a lot of thump there. When I get down to the other extreme, like we just had ice come off of our lakes this week, so I mean it's down in the 30s.
Yeah.
I want very, very subtle. Like I when I'm cranking, I don't even want to feel it with my rod tip, really.
Yeah.
I just want to almost it to be mushy. So like it almost like catching a leaf. Like I just want it to be a little bit mushy. So like starting off, I start off with and these are all flat baits. I have an array of baits in front of me here, and I'll try to describe them because I know that you have listeners and watchers. But basically a balsa flat bait is this. I mean, it's, you go in, you see all the KVD 1.0s and all that stuff, all the square bills, very fat bait, very wide lip, all of that stuff. So all the baits I'm talking about here are flat baits, and they're very, very thin in the body right here. And this is actually one of my favorite ones to start off with in the fall. And this is called a Lil Guy, made by PH Custom Lures. And this is like that 3 to 5 foot range. Now this one does have quite a bit of thump to it, so it's got quite a bit of action. So like I'll throw this, and then there's a guy here in Indiana named Rick Schreiber of Laser Lures, and he makes one called the LZ1. Again, these are all balsa, handmade, hand painted products. So like this one is like a mid. Like I'll throw this. So this is like the big thumping one, or a larger thumping one, and then this one is kind of like in the middle. Still has a lot of action, but very, very flat. So like I'll throw that basically like in the fall, especially on a sunny day, fish will eat that. And what I try to base everything off of is like when I'm cranking and how hard they're hitting the bait and how many hookups I have. You know, if they've barely got it in their lip, I probably need to slow down a little bit more. But if they got it like down in there, I probably have the right stuff.
Now, are you, when you're fishing them in the wintertime, are you like slow rolling it? Like, how are you getting it down to the depth you need to get it down to? Are you using like little stick-on weights that you can put on the bottom of the crankbaits, or how are you getting it down there, and how are you rolling it slow?
So typically what I do is I don't do any weighting. I let go to a different bait before I weight a bait. You get into weighting it, like in a balsa bait, most of the weight is supposed to be in the throat of the bait here. So if you get outside of that, you're going to really throw this bait off.
Oh, okay.
I mean, these baits are super, super light. But like, so depth wise, I rarely, even in the wintertime, I'll rarely get outside of or go above 8 feet of water. But the key to that is those fish will be there in that type of water as long as there's deep water relatively close to them.
Right.
You know, like a wintering hole in a river, for instance. Like you got a little sandbar over to the right, it cuts in a little bit. Like those fish will come and they'll feed up in there, and then they'll go back down. So 5 to 7 foot is kind of my sweet spot, even in colder temperatures.
It's interesting you said that, because the one of the times that I had the most success, I was out with Mickey Forsich, and we were fishing the deep water and just not finding them. And he's like, I wonder if they're up feeding on the sandbar. And we went over there, and he's like, tie on a crankbait quick. And I had one of those that Matt had sent me originally, tied it on, and sure enough, we started crushing them over there. They were up shallow, not dirt shallow, but still they definitely weren't in the deepest hole. And we found them right on the kind of the edge of that sandbar. And that was what made me a believer of cold water cranking, because before I had always just put it away, you know, as soon as the water got below a certain temperature. But that was middle of the winter, you know, fishing, and that definitely made me a believer. So
yeah, and they'll just like you said, especially like on a bright day, like those fish will push up shallow. Like I've seen some of the biggest smallmouth in a river on just the brightest day in the middle of winter on a sandbar, like just hanging out. Like I don't know if they're up there kind of sunning themselves, or if they're feeding on something up there, but like I'm never scared to go, 5 foot or less, even in the wintertime. If there's not ice on the water, like that's how shallow I'll fish. And some of the reason is, to be honest with you guys, I hate throwing a jerk bait. I hate throwing some of those baits like that. So like I've adapted kind of this system to kind of take over for throwing that jerk bait. I just, especially in colder water, like I hate ripping a jerk bait and then letting it sit and then having to be patient with it and then ripping it again. Or like a blade bait. I really like a blade bait bite, like you were talking about earlier, but that's very tough to cover water with as well.
Yeah.
And I, I like to move around and kind of get
Yeah.
a feel where the fish are. So that's kind of where I started with some of this cold water cranking too.
So what's your setup? Like, or what kind of rod are you using in the wintertime for cranking, and your reel? What is the ratio for your reel?
Sure.
Are you using fluorocarbon?
Yeah, so I'm very old school with this, and there are a lot of people that will argue this, and there are a lot of great crankbait fishermen that are way better than I am. But I am a 100% glass rod guy when it comes to crankbait.
Oh, I love glass rods.
And I go, so Sean, you may remember John Graves.
Mm-hmm.
So John has actually built me 2 custom rods for crankbaiting. And I have one that I use basically all winter, and like for these bigger baits, so like the low and dollar bill, some of these bigger baits I'll throw on that. It's a 7-foot, very moderate rod. And what that allows me to do too is, like, I don't have to set the hook, because I don't know about you guys, but when I feel a bite, I get excited. Like I'm jacked. Like I want to pop them good.
Yeah.
Well, in the winter time, you can't necessarily do that. The mouths are a little bit softer. You got a lot going on. You got treble baits. So a little bit of delay helps me, and I can just kind of reel into them and just pull on it. And then with that glass rod, it really sets that hook nice. So I have a bait casting version. And it's a 3-to-1 gear ratio, even though a lot of times I'll go, sometimes I have to go down to a 6-4-to-1. And years ago, I used to even go down to a 5-4-to-1, like super slow, and just like crank it and really feel with the rod more than anything. And I think that's the key that a lot of guys miss, is when you're fishing with this, and I fish on 12-pound fluorocarbon, and I don't change my line out from summer to winter. It's the same. Vicious Fishing is my preferred brand. And what a lot of guys do with crankbaits is they'll throw it out there and they'll just reel it, and they'll just constantly reel, and they won't do anything with it. One of the biggest things with the flat bait and any of these balsa baits, and probably plastic baits, I crank it and then I'll feel something. Don't get excited then and pull it away. Like, I think we all get scared of getting hung up, right? Like,
Yeah.
And this goes back to tube fishing too. I'm a tube fishing nut, but like, that's something I learned actually from Terry McWilliams, who made the stupid tube famous, is like, just take your time when you feel that, because the fish are in structure, especially this time of year. So I'll lightly crank. I'll feel a little bit of pressure from something, and then it's almost like a Carolina rig. I'll sweep. I won't even touch my reel, and I'll sweep with my rod and pull it. And a lot of times that's when you get bit. Super cold water, you get in like that 40 degrees, mid 50s, I'd say probably even mid 50s, all the way down to freezing. I probably catch 80% of my fish with that sweep versus just straight reeling.
And I remember I was going to ask you about that if you didn't bring it up, because I remember from our previous conversation you talking about that, and I tried it, and I can testify that definitely works too. And you're not pulling it fast, you're just kind of moving it with your rod, not the reel at all. And
and then just kind of catch up with it and start reeling again. You hit something and you just pull it again. But I do have a second setup too for like some of these lighter baits. Like, you get into like a skinny pea. This thing throws like a potato chip. Like, it's super light. So it's really, really difficult to cast, especially if you have any wind or anything like that, like we can have in the winter. So I actually have a spinning setup now, and it's a glass rod as well. And that has a 6-4-to-1 gear ratio reel on it, and 12-pound fluorocarbon. And like, throwing a bait like this, it makes it much more enjoyable too. When a bait's super, super light. And I don't know where the stigma comes from that, we shouldn't be out there throwing spinning rods and this and that, but man, that setup has been awesome for me.
And that was
whatever
custom
works,
rod, right? Yeah.
That is custom. I don't know if they still have it or not. St. Croix used to have it in their glass line.
Okay.
They used to have a spinning rod in the Legend series, I believe.
Okay.
So like, guys kind of turn up their nose at it, but I tell you what, like just managing that on the water can make it a day just much more enjoyable, and that's what we're all out there to do anyway.
I mean, you could probably even go BFS for that crankbait if it's too hard to cast.
Absolutely, yeah, and I've thought about going with a BFS setup for it, but I have those 2 glass rods, and that's kind of what I use. But yeah, I don't see why you couldn't use a BFS setup for sure.
Nice. Now that crankbait that you just showed, is that how deep does that one run?
So this one's probably in that 5 to 7 range.
Oh, really?
Wow. So this one's called a skinny pea, and this is like if I'm going out there right now and that water temperature's the lowest that it's going to get, this thing right here feels like you're reeling a leaf through the water. Like it's just like it has very, very little motion to it. So this is my right after freeze bait for sure. Is this
like 30 degrees?
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what that bait's for. And man, I know Phil at PH, he sells a ton of these. This is probably #1 seller. It's a pretty unique little bait. And yeah, I mean, this is what I start out with in the coldest water for sure.
Now, how fast does that float up? Like if you were reeling it and you stopped reeling, how fast does that thing float up?
Yeah, so that's a great point with balsa. Your buoyancy is much more high.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
what I thought.
Yeah, so it's going to pop up pretty quick. So like what we were talking about earlier with kind of pulling that thing, you want to keep on pulling it so it doesn't pop up, but like you'll just want to just keep it to where you can still feel it a little bit. And this you're not going to feel hardly anything as far as your rod tip with this bait. I mean, it's going to feel very, very just heavy. And then when they eat it, your rod is just going to just bend right over. Like it just go. They don't attack it real hard. They'll just come up and they'll just swallow that thing and just kind of just go away with it slowly.
Man, I want to go crankbait fishing right now.
I know. I do too. Craziest thing, it was 67 degrees here today, and tonight it's going to be like 16 degrees. Yeah. So I mean, it's nuts. But yeah,
that's crazy.
I wouldn't hesitate tomorrow to go out and throw a crankbait. That's for sure.
Nice.
Carla, you want to take a quick break and we'll run our commercial and we'll be right back, guys.
All right. Yes.
All right. Thanks again to Railblazer for supporting us here on the show. Make sure you guys hop out there and use the code or our code to get some money off your purchases out there. We appreciate
25%.
Yeah. Wow. Railblazer really hooked
That's
us
huge.
Up. We are Keegan is our buddy over there, and we're hoping to have him on the show here sometime soon too, so y'all can meet him. But yeah. So, Matt, one of my questions was going to be, I know, like what causes you to then change up from that, like the leaf style and what makes you change?
Yeah. So it's really how the fish are reacting to it. If I go hours and hours without a bite, I'm doing something wrong. And I need to change up. So typically I like to be more aggressive on the water. So I'm going to try to figure out, and I'm going to start with the hardest thumping bait that I can, because I can cover much more water. I'm much more quicker with it. I can feel things quicker, so I can stay paddling on my motor, whatever I'm doing at the time, and I can move and get down and fish a lot of water. But if I go hours without it, I know I need to slow down. So like there's it's funny because I have these baits laid out in front of me, and it's literally because in my tackle box, this is like my yearly, like I go down the
Your
list
progression. Yeah.
every year. And I know, like, I hardly ever go back to one, if that makes any sense. Like, once I come down, like, I'm kind of there for a while. Like, honestly, to me, the bait that I've caught the most fish on, and is probably the good most in between, a potato chip style bait like the skinny pea, and that little guy that I showed you that really thumps, and that's the W2. W2. This is just a root beer color. You can see I actually cut this off my rod today. So like, and I get it. Balsa's expensive. Like, some of these baits are $20, $22, $25. This is actually in a line of baits that's like $12, $13, and still balsa. So much more affordable. And this is really going to get you probably that like 3 to 5. And if you really throw it on some lighter line, you can probably get away with a little bit more. And then I'll give you a little bit of a secret tip here. If you actually downsize your hooks a little bit to number 5, you'll actually get just a little bit more out of it than that. But like, you go on the shelves now, and like Strike King, I don't care what brand it is, like, you're paying 10, 12, $15 for a plastic bait that doesn't have nearly the craftsmanship, isn't nearly as good of a bait as what this is. So this is in the old school line, very, very affordable. There's just some slight differences between this and some of the other product, but like, this is kind of like my middle ground. I hardly ever throw the potato chip, honestly. Like, if they're not going to bite this for me, like, I kind of just move on and do something else. Extreme situation, have a cold water tournament, something like that, I'll go to the skinny pea, but the W2 is it for me, man. But yeah,
is that a circuit board lip?
It's roundish, but the material itself, yeah, it's a circuit board. It's got a little tuning button in it. It's a really, really good bait. It's a really good underrated summer bait too. So this is my favorite by far, is probably the W2, and it just happens to be the cheapest. So
color wise, you like the root beers or the lighter colors? Seems like a lot of yours are, but
yeah, I just try to keep it pretty natural. Like, I've got some wild ones, like, in the springtime I'll throw this one's called Nasty.
Oh yeah.
So like in the spring, the reds seem to be better. Like, if I'm fishing the river, it seems like around here anyways, any sort of root beer color, any sort of brown color is pretty universal in our rivers anyways. So
Gotcha.
Nice. Matt, are you a kayak fisherman?
I am.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So if I was to say, oh, we're going fishing tomorrow, we're going to the Susquehanna, what bait would you bring?
Yeah, I'm going to bring the W2 for sure. I'm going to bring the W2, and then outside of crankbaits, probably a hair jig, and probably going to, I'd never leave home without a stupid tube. So
Nice, good answer.
I was going to say, one of the nice things about cold water cranking too is, say you've been, dragging the hair jig for 2 hours and your hands are freezing. One of the easiest ways to heat up your hands is to start throwing something that you got to crank. You wouldn't think it'd make that much of a difference, but when you're involving both your hands, it does tend to get the blood flowing again and warm it up. So even if if it's just to do that, just to change it up or to warm up your hands or to get you moving a little bit, that's another reason why I tend to bring one with me, just because I don't know about you guys, but man, my hands get cold quick. And
me too, man. Me too, brother.
Yeah.
There's times where like I'm dragging a hair jig or a Ned rig, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, even the rod feels cold in my hands. And I know I need
I
to
mean,
do
it's just
something to warm it up.
it sounds like a great way to find fish because you're moving a little faster. Not much, but I mean, faster than dragging a hair jig or whatnot. And then when you do catch a fish in an area, you can easily pick it apart with a jig or
Yep.
a tube or whatever
Yeah.
your favorite winter bait is.
Yeah, and it seems like too, like once I get bit on one of these baits, it's just like you said, you can pick it apart. Like a lot of times you'll catch two if you can figure out the exact cast you just made, and put it on that same line. Which I don't know about you guys, but I am like that's one of the things and it doesn't matter if I'm in a boat, kayak, bank, wherever it is. I always try to remember where my line just hit,
Yep.
and then a lot of times if you can line it up that same in that same line, you'll pick up multiple fish, especially in the wintertime.
Heck yeah.
Early spring, same way. You know, they're kind of grouped up, so you can throw crankbait right back in there. And if they kind of shy off of that a little bit, yeah, throw something else.
It's awesome. Like I think a lot of our listeners, especially now with the water temps being 36 right now or 34 on the Susquehanna,
Yeah.
they're afraid to throw a crankbait because, you know, we're always taught to when the water gets in the 30s, you don't even want to move that bait. You just want to throw it in there and let it sit for 30 seconds or whatever. I think a lot of our listeners are scared to throw crankbaits in the wintertime.
Yeah, and I was kind of the same way. Actually, and it's still a bait that I'll take with me pretty often. It's actually a walleye bait, but it's pretty universally known, and that's the Berkeley flicker shad. I mean, that thing is a cold water beast, especially for a plastic bait. And that bait's got good hooks on it, you know, and that bait can really, really wreck them at times. And that's one that I definitely always have too. Is that, and that's probably really where I started going. Well, wait a minute, like I can still move a bait that quick and get bit. And
I'm going to say that, yep.
and so I grew up on the Kokomo Reservoir. And anybody in Indiana probably just shut this off because Kokomo Reservoir is probably the worst fishery we have in the state. But you know, I actually had 100 fish day on a flicker shad, and I just happened to pick it up and just start throwing it around bridge pilings and just wreck them. Like catching 100 fish on Kokomo is like catching 10,000 fish on the Susquehanna. Like it's just unheard of. But yeah, that flicker shad that's a bad little bait too. And a lot of bait stores will carry that. A lot of places have that little Berkeley flicker shad.
And then that's like a crankbait or what kind of bait is that?
It's a crankbait. I would almost describe it as like it was BFS before BFS existed.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of the walleye guys will troll it.
Okay.
So they have some wild ass colors. You're like, man, what fish is even getting near this thing? But like, if you keep it to the very, very simple baits and that little bait, like you can get that thing down to like 10, 12 foot. But you're definitely going to throw that on a spinning rod, or like you said earlier, a BFS would be awesome with that little bait.
Yeah. Stevens Worthy's asking, what hooks are you using for your crankbait hooks?
Yeah. So basically everything in the PH line and Rick Schreiber at Laser Lures looks like he uses probably Mustads, but VMCs is what they come with. And if I'm changing them out, I've really started falling in love with those Hayabusa hooks.
Really?
Yeah, they're at a pretty decent price range, and they are really, really good hooks. Like that's what I've switched over to some of my glide baits too. They're sticky. They stay sharp. I haven't had any problems with them at all.
Nice. I like all hooks.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I thought Phil, most of his stock hooks are really good too. Like he doesn't
they are.
gimp on that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, they're VMCs, and then maybe some mustads in there every once in a while. But again, that's one of the benefits to using a glass rod too, is like with these smaller hooks that you can really hook them good with. You hardly ever straighten out a hook with a glass rod because you have a lot of give to
Yeah.
it.
Yep. I have a glass rod for my chatterbait rod, but I also use it for cranking too, and I love it.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how we used to
It's
not use
amazing.
glass rods for chatterbaits, and we'd catch like what, 8 out of 12 fish or something like that. You go to a glass rod and you're catching almost every one of them on glass.
Yeah, I hardly ever lose a chatterbait fish now with the glass rod.
Even in
and a
current.
crankbait.
Yep. That's it.
But it sucks for grass. Like I need a heavier glass rod for the grass fishing. Because I cannot rip it out of that grass without like yanking on that thing.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed. I had that chattergrass rod in my cart. I ordered it, and then Discount Tackle's like, "Oh no, sorry, we no longer have those in stock, and we can't get them from the manufacturer." I was like, "Oh man."
Oh, that's the one that Jody Queen uses all the time.
Yeah, they canceled my order, and I was like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Well, we can't get them from the manufacturer anymore." I was like, "Oh man." Yeah,
I'm sure there's a rod out there for it.
Yeah. I actually use the and it's not the most current version, but it's for a chatterbait rod and for heavier cranks. I'll use the Evergreen
combat stick.
Yep, combat stick.
I love Evergreen, man.
Yeah,
their rods are so good.
Yep, and I've got it in the heavy model, and it you can pull through grass pretty well with that.
You know, believe it or not, that's what I use for my wake bait rod. Is the heavy? It's almost like a frog rod, but I don't lose fish on them for some reason. I sometimes bend hooks out every once in a while, but I do. I haven't lost a fish on that rod, and I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Excuse me. Matt, is there any other baits that you have laying there that you wanted to highlight?
I think we talked through most of them. I mean, for the river guys, like I like a little bit more thump in the river, even when it's a little bit colder. So like, I'll go to like this one's called a Heron 2.0.
Ooh, I like that. That's a spring bait right there.
Oh boy, is it? That color is
I think I have that one. That same bait.
Killer. Yeah, it's
sweet.
Yep, springtime killer, and then like right after. So like when I take a step down from the low guy, like the low $1 bill is like one of my favorites.
I was gonna say that was one of the ones when you sent me. I kind of really liked that one too.
Yeah.
Is that Bill Owen? Bill Owen's bait?
It sure is.
Yeah, I love that guy.
So he can't necessarily rep it anymore. But him and Phil are like they're like brothers. Like they're really, really close, and they designed this bait many moons ago. And man, yeah, it's just a little fish catcher, man. Like it's got a little bit of thump to it, but it's pretty unique coming through the water. And I've caught a lot of largemouth and smallmouth on that bait right there. Kentucky Lake, like in the springtime, that is the bait that nobody talks about down there. Is this in hot mud bug, which is basically red with a blackish brown top.
Nice.
That's a great springtime bait.
And I know, some fakes, like you said, shy away from balsa a little bit just because of the price. But like you said, some of Phil's stuff is more along lines with what you're paying for plastic now. And, when everybody else in the world is throwing plastic, sometimes, throwing balsa will be that difference that just, you never want to throw what everybody else is throwing. But if you can throw something slightly different, I mean, that's kind of what attracted me to it.
Dude, and Phil and I have talked hours upon hours. He's just an open book about this. One of the biggest things I think that attracts fish to balsa that we don't think about is this right here. So I'm shaking a bait. It's silent. There's nothing. You may get a little bit of ring rattle from the rings, but Phil's crazy. He used to have a swimming pool at his house, and he would have people run baits past his head so he could listen to them. And he would have a plastic crankbait zoom by his head, and then you have one of his go by his head, and like notice the difference under the water
with the hooks on them.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He's
crazy.
He's quite the character, man. But yeah, it's Balsa is very unique, and yes, some of his baits, I forget what it is. It's something like 3 days to build a bait. By the time he gets it made, by the time he finishes it out, by the time he's crazy about painting too. He doesn't let anybody else in the shop paint. So by the time he paints it, he does not, he puts a really good clear coat on it too. By the time he does that, puts hooks on it, gets in a box, that's 3 days. So like when I sit down and I think about it, $22, 20, I think they're $22. Is actually pretty cheap, I think, for as much time and effort as there is into this bait. Now, I will say, if you do get a balsa bait, do not slap it on the water. I don't slap any bait on the water, personally, because I hate breaking baits, but especially with balsa, because it is a little bit softer. So it can handle some rocks. It can handle some logs. They're fairly durable. Just don't slap them on the water. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen explode a balsa bait on the side of their boat or on the water, whatever. You got to use a little common sense with them. And I don't have any of them that are rashed up too terribly here. But one of the things is clear nail polish. Like, you'll get scuffs on these baits and you'll get spots on them that just kind of rub, and you'll end up being able to see a little bit of the wood on it. Just some clear fingernail polish and go over the top of it, let it cure for a day or so, and you're good to go. Hell, I've got a low on dollar bill that this whole side of it's off of it. And that thing runs so good that I am not doing anything to it. So,
what's the name of Phil's business?
So it's PH Custom Lures.
PH.
Yep. So he's got a website, and then you'll notice when you go in there's 3 tabs. He's got a saltwater division that nobody in the world except for Dustin Nichols cares about. Just kidding. But then he has the old school line, which that's what the W2 is in. That's going to be a little more cost prohibitive, a little more cheaper baits. They're not hand tuned. There's some slight differences like that. And then on the left side, you'll see the PH line, and those are all hand tuned. And I've been down to his shop. I was like, oh, there's no way this dude hand tunes every one of these baits.
Wow.
In a tank. And he takes it, puts it on a rod, and he goes up and down a trough with it. And if it goes one way or the other, then he'll correct it. You'll see this one. You see how that bill is just slightly going this way, just a little bit. Well, Phil's tuned it right here. You can see that it's bent just a little bit. So this thing is tuned, ready to go right out of the box.
Man.
I think, with the old school line, he says that he doesn't tune them, but I've never had one that has been out of tune. And out of tune meaning like it goes way left, way right, or it porpoises. So like he gets those things really, really dialed in. And like the great thing about balsa is the craftsmanship, how awesome it is. Unfortunate part is like Phil's getting older, Rick Schreiber's getting older, Cliff Pace has his own balsa line called Black Label, makes some very, very nice baits as well. But like, laser lures with Ricky Schreiber here in Indiana, it's a dying. It is slowly dying, and it is really, really sad to me.
I was just going to say, if they don't pass it on, then
yes,
as they, go away, then it's going to be a lost art.
yeah, and that's exactly what it is, Sean. It's art, man. Like these
Yeah.
things are beautiful baits. These things have hours upon hours of hand, people touching these, humans touching these, not machines, not. And there's nothing wrong with plastic injection or anything like that. I'm not a big hater like that. It's just this is special to me, and I want to throw this a lot. And it's like I said, it means something to me. Phil's a good friend of mine. Rick Schreiber, I've talked to him at many shows. He makes a really, really good bait too. I mean, you're not going to get a crankbait that has that much detail on it off the shelf. I don't care what brand it is. Like that is like, to me, that is artwork with how much time they put in, the foil that they put into it. Like this is really, really good stuff. And
It's like a showpiece.
it is. It is.
Do you have any crankbaits that you have bought over the years that you don't even fish, that you just have on the wall somewhere?
I do, and it's in my other room. There's a gentleman from the Cincinnati area that West England was his name, and unfortunately, a few years ago, he passed away. So I have probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 of his lures that I've fortunately bought over the years. And by no means, I'm not one of those guys that's trying to make a buck off of them or anything like that. They're special to me.
Yeah.
And they are in a case and they are locked up, and those are ones that I will not throw.
That's awesome, man. That's when you know you've really turned into a crankbait fisherman, when you have crankbaits that you don't fish.
Yeah, I want to every once in a while, and there's I have some that are a little chipped up that I've thought about throwing before, but it's like, I look at that and I've done some research, and his son is now getting a little bit into making baits too every once in a while. And I told his son straight up, like, if you want any of these baits, like, they are yours. I'm just the keeper of them right now. But like, I look at him, and Wes he was famous for going and getting this special type of foil for his baits, and it was some sort of floral foil, and he would go to a floral shop to buy him to build baits. And then he was famous for sitting on a bucket or taking a bucket out and throwing them and hand tuning them at a local pond. So, like, to me, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. To me, it just seems like, I mean, it's an art, obviously.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people that collect them and buy them and fish them. But it's just like, those guys ain't getting enough for what they put into it.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. It's crazy too. Like, you look at the right raising prices, and I'm not going to make this political in any way, but the big talk around the tackle industry is tariffs.
Yeah.
Well, these don't have any tariffs on them. These are all U.S. built by folks here in the United States. Which, like, if, for instance, if I go out and I throw a bait, and I've done it before I really knew Phil, I'd call Phil up, go like, man, this bait's doing this, or what am I doing wrong? And he'll just walk you through it. Like, you're not getting that with anybody else. Rick Schreiber, like, he does like 2 or 3 shows here in the Indiana area. And like, just sitting down talking to him, and like, why do I want this one versus why do I want the LZ1 versus the LZ3, and why do I want this model versus that model? And they have a story behind it. Like, there's a method behind the madness. Cliff Pace, like, you call Black Label Tackle, chances are you're going to talk to Cliff Pace. That's a Bassmaster Classic winning angler.
Yeah.
But he's so passionate about this too that he takes the time to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, these guys don't have big corporations behind them. When you call them, like, when you call PH Custom Lures, you're getting Phil. You're not getting anybody else.
That is so cool. I know Epic Eric is like a huge
Yeah.
crankbait fan, and he's always talking about TK Stanley paint jobs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I watched the Smallmouth Crush, and he's always talking about crankbaits.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about cold water stuff here, but man, in warm water, they've got just as much power too. There's all kinds of models, and each one of these, like you start getting into it, and you're like, well, I want to use this one for this application, and the W2, I need to use that because conditions are like this today, and I want to throw the the LZ1, and what's great about it too is all these guys are friends. Like
Yeah,
like Phil, Rick, and Cliff Pace, like they all talk to each other because they're trying to pass this on, and they're trying to make overall their kind of category of baits better. Yeah, so you mentioned Epic Eric and those guys. There's Lee Sisson, like he's the king of balsa. He's still alive, and like he was just on their show not too long ago.
yep,
He's the one that really kicked it off with Bagley and got Bagley going. And some of the old school line that Phil has is actually some of the stuff that Lee designed. So it's really cool, man. And
it is
I
cool.
sorry for being so chatty about it, but man,
That's why you're here, bro.
Exactly.
real
That's why I
passion
wanted you
point
to
for
come
me.
on. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, me and Sean both do some cranking. I don't think we do enough of it, but we definitely put our time into crankbait fishing. I don't think I've really, when I met Sean, he used to be heavily into crankbait fishing, and I don't think he throws it as much anymore, but he kind of drawing me into it, and I threw the crankbait mostly in the spring. I do, but I think I threw it a couple years ago in the wintertime, and I had some success on it.
Yeah, it's crazy too because we walk through all these things and I just discussed and we discussed the wobble of the bait, the feeling of the bait, and all that stuff. But man, I've caught them in like a foot of water on in a square bill. Some of the biggest fish I have caught, like
Yep.
times where I'm just like, why are they even up there?
Yep.
And like you can't get them off the lure, like they just swallow it.
That's
So
awesome, man.
and with forward facing sonar and all that stuff getting more and more popular, I'm gonna tell you what, these crankbaits are going to become better and better and better
Yeah.
as the fish don't see them nearly as much as they did, and guys are chasing them with those little minnows and stuff. Like this crankbaiting stuff's only going to get better.
Yeah. Hey, there ain't nothing like a good crankbait bite, man.
No.
When that rod just loads up, it's awesome.
And you just never know. You never know how big the fish is. Like top water, you'd be like, oh, that's a 3-4 pounder or whatever it is.
Yeah.
With a crankbait, you never know till you get them to the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the biggest fish I've caught on a crankbait, I'm just like, they're just letting me horse them in, and all of a sudden they get there, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing with this fish? Like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, I caught like a 42-inch muskie on a little black crankbait this past summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That was a surprise, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was like a 15-minute fight too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
And it was during a tournament. I was kind of annoyed by it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, one of those things you kind of recap and look back at the moment. You're kind of pissed about it, but then you're like, you know what? Like, that was a cool experience.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. Well, sounds like we're kind of winding down. Matt, is there anything else you think you would want to say to anybody looking to get into cold water cranking? Or, I mean, definitely I'd recommend checking out the balsa baits and PH custom lures, some of the other ones you mentioned to get started. But anything else that you would say?
Yeah, I would say like just go out and have fun with it, just like anything else. Go out and experiment with it. Like pick out a wild color every once in a while and go out there and throw it. Like you just never know. And there's no right or wrong answer, even with this crankbait stuff. Like I said, I've been trying to dial this in for years, and I have a pretty good system, I think. But there's still times where I'll get out on water and be like, I have no idea why they're hitting this, where they're hitting it, but like, you get out there and you feel around a little bit. That's another great thing about a crankbait is you can actually feel bottom. You can actually feel what's going on. And yeah, just go out and have fun with it and get wild with colors if you want to, or if you're more of a mute guy, then fish your strength and just go out and have fun with it. Like I said, the fish don't read the books that we read. So there's no rhyme or reason for this at times. So just go out, enjoy it. And yeah, like you said, if you're out and you're getting cold and you want to do something else, go throw a crankbait around.
Yeah, that'll get you warm.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, before we go, I wanted to ask you guys questions. First of all, Matt, what was your fishing related highlight 2025?
2025. So probably for me, it was, man. So I'm very spoiled. The last few years I've been going out to the St. Lawrence River with a good friend of mine, and you guys
Catching
know
giant.
Brian Schiller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So him and I go up there and we have a really good time. So man, that's always something that's really, really fun to me. Brian and I don't get to fish together nearly as much as we should. So that was it. And then actually bumping around with Phil Hunt down on Brookville Lake. We've talked about it. We've been friends for years and years, and I finally got the opportunity to get in a boat with him. And I would say one of those two things to me have been the highlight of 25.
Awesome.
What about you, Sean?
Mine would have to be winning the 2025 KACPA team championship again, backing up our trash talk a little bit. I was a little worried. I was
3 years in a row, baby.
I'm not a trash talker, and for whatever reason, in the director's chat, I might have trash talked a little bit when they changed the rules. I was like, "What are you guys tired of us winning?" And incidentally started a little bit of a fire there, but we were able to back it up.
We backed it up.
We did.
Awesome.
So,
yes, sir.
how about
That
you,
was
Carlin?
sweet. I would say that was one of the highlights. Another one was winning my first tournament, MAKBF tournament. And then another one was catching my first 20-inch smallmouth. So that was cool. 2025.
That's awesome.
I knew
Congratulations.
that would be on the list somewhere. So
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Goals for 2026 fishing related. Matt, go ahead.
I fished a lot of tournament trails, and I don't, tournament wise, it's not that I don't take it serious or anything like that, but as I get more ingrained in doing other things, kind of the tournament scene for me is kind of probably the last few years fell off for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of that's been by design. Some of it is just life happens. One thing I've actually never done is won an AOY. So I think an AOY in Indiana kayak anglers would probably be
Heck yeah, brother.
way up there for me. So
Heck yeah. That's a good goal, man. I hope you get it.
thank you. Appreciate
That's
that.
awesome. Sean?
I'd say, and as much as I want to, win another tournament, I'd say I want to make KACPA bigger this year. Like I want to see more attendance and do whatever I can to make that happen. Cause the more the merrier. I love seeing guys come out. Last year was great. We had a bunch of new people, come out for some of our events, Vince Stutter and Stephen Howard. And, just seeing, adding to our numbers and seeing guys enjoy themselves, that if I can grow KACPA this year, that's probably one of my main goals. But, if I happen to win one here or there, I definitely won't be unhappy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Growth of the sport, especially with kayak tournaments right now, man. That's a little bit tough right now. So if you're seeing any growth at all, you guys are doing a really good job out there.
Yeah. That's kind of what my goal was too, Sean. I helped Sean out with Kayak Anglers Central PA, and I do a lot of photography and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. This year we haven't got them yet, but we got a bunch of sponsors to support us to get our checks and big corrugated checks that we're going to give out to the top 3 for each event, which we're super excited about, and just to grow our grow our trail. And I think after last year, I think we'll get a couple more people on board this year, and yeah, my one of my goals was to win one of them events, because I haven't won a K8 event yet, but I'd rather see some of these newbies come in and get some of them trophies. That'd be cool for me, man.
Yeah, that's always fun. I've been a tournament director here with the Indiana Kayak Anglers for a number of years, and man, it is awesome seeing like some of those guys first, second year come in, get a good win under their belt.
Heck yeah.
You know, that build that confidence, and because you know there are a lot of people that are kind of hesitant in getting in tournament angling. So like if you can ease their mind and like bring them in, that's just awesome. That's a win for the sport overall.
Heck yeah. Well, what do you think, Sean?
Well, Matt, I was going to say, any sponsors you want to shout out, or social medias or anything?
Yeah, so with any of this, obviously, feel free to reach out on Facebook. And if you can't find me, Sean and the guys know me well. So, you know, I can get any questions that you have or get you in touch with Phil or any of the guys that I mentioned. So obviously, thank you guys. Really love the show, man. The pictures at the beginning, that is probably my favorite part of the show.
Thank you.
That's a tremendous idea. So that's great. I appreciate you guys being such good caretakers of the sport that we all love, and that's kayak angling as well. So thank you for that. And then you know, New Canoe, I've been with those guys for going on almost on 10 years now. So
nice.
I've been with those guys for a very, very long time. Moving Water Outfitters, Vicious Fishing Line, PH Custom Lures. You know, Phil and I are really, really good friends. And you know, he's got a great staff there as well. And yeah, you know, thank you guys for having me on and, you know, keeping this paddle and fin thing alive. It's still awesome. Love tuning in to all the shows every week. So I appreciate you guys.
All right, Carlisle, anything you want to add, bud?
No, I just want to say thanks, you know, to Matt for coming on and, you know, sharing a little bit of juice with crankbait fishing, and thank all our sponsors. I want to announce again, our next podcast will be next year in January, and that'll be our first time that we do our $50 giveaway for Achigan.
Nice.
So Achigan was nice enough to donate $50 a month for us to give away a gift certificate. And go on the website, check out all his apparel, man. He's got some awesome stuff, and it's comfortable. And it's nice, like good material stuff, and it has smallmouth on it. And if you're a smallmouth freak like us three right here in this window that you're looking at, you're going to love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I run into Josh on the river from time to time.
That's
Josh
cool.
And those guys. Yeah. He's probably, I don't know, 35 minutes south of me. So
nice.
Josh is an awesome dude, man.
Yeah, we fished the white, see him on there every once in a while on the Tippy Canoe. So.
Yeah, and that's all I got, Sean. So if you want to close it out, Matt, thanks for coming on. Happy holidays, Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah, well, thanks for everybody who tuned in tonight. We appreciate everybody who hung out to the end here, and we will catch you in the new year for the next episode of Chasing the 20 Inchers. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.